Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf, GITTEN Yud Zayin. We are holding on Tes Zayin Amud Beis, 7 lines from the bottom. Says the Gemara, there was a story with Rabbi Bar Chana, who was chalish, he fell ill, and he was accepting visitors. Who went in to visit him? Rabbi Yehuda, the Rabbi. They went in to ask him how he's doing, to visit him. And they took the opportunity and they asked him a question in halacha. They asked him as follows: Shnaim sheviu get imdina sayam. Suppose we have two people delivering a get from Chutz La'aretz. Typically, a shaliach must say b'fanei nichtav, and b'fanei nechtam. What if we have two shluchim? Is that required or not? And we had this discussion yesterday. We discussed all the reasons, pro and con. Rabba and Rabba, all depends on what the reason for b'fanei nechtav is. Is it in order to certify the chasimos? In which case, once we have two shluchim right here, they can do that. They don't need to actually say b'fanei nechtam. According to Rabba, we have the additional concern. Perhaps it wasn't written lishma, in which case it applies to two shluchim as well. No difference. So that, in essence, was their question to him. Shnaim sheviu get medina sayam. If two people delivered a get, tzrichen sheyamru b'fanenu nichtav u b'fanenu nechtam. Do they need to say that? Or ain't tzrichen, or perhaps not? Omar lahem, he told them, of course not. Ain't tzrichen. You know why? We have to aid them right here about the divorce. Ma ilu yamru b'fanenu. Look, picture. What if they would have just told us b'fanenu girsha, that he divorced her in front of us? Would that not be enough? Of course it would be enough. And that's pretty much what they're saying, right? Milay mehemni, would they not be believed? Of course they would be believed. So we don't need any more than that. They're bringing the get. It indicates that the husband sent it. It's not for it. They're here in case we need to verify. B'fanei nichtav is not necessary. Ad hachi. In the meantime, asa hahu chavra, a Persian Gentile shows up. He comes in and he takes away the candle. Shakla lishraga mikamai. He takes away the candle that was sitting in front of them, and it turns dark. Amar, so Rabbi Bar Chana called out to Hashem, Rachmana, Hashem, oy betulach, please cast your protection above us, over us, meaning let us bask in your shade, in your protection. Rashi says, Hachbi'enu b'tzilcha, hide us in your shade, oy betula debar esav, or at least we should be in the hands of the children of Esav, the Romans, as opposed to the Persians, who don't respect us. They grab our candles. Rashi says they have a law that on the day of their Yom Eid, on their holiday, nobody can have any a light except in the base of Avodah Zarah. So Hashem, please spare us from this shame, spare us from this degradation. The Bnei Esav are preferred to the Persians. Really? Lememra, do you mean to say that the Romans, descendants of Esav, Malu, in Parsai, were better off under their control rather than the Persians? Vatani Rabbi Chia tells us, what does the pasuk in Eiv mean when it says Elokim hevin darka hu yadas mekayma? Hashem understood, recognized where Torah will flourish and succeed, and that's where Hashem sent us. Yedei HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'Yisrael, Hashem knew regarding Klal Yisrael, she'ein yachelim lekabel gzeras roimim, we can't tolerate, we can't stand the decrees, the Shmad, the decrees of the Romans, and therefore Amad v'higla oisam leBavel. After the Bayis Rishon, Hashem sent Klal Yisrael to Bavel instead. Apparently Bavel is better than Rome. Lekasha, the answer is ha. When do we say Bavel is better? Mikame, before the Naisu Chavri leBavel, the Chavri, the Persians showed up in Bavel. Then it was still okay, ha, but this episode here, Lebasar took place after the Asu Chavri, the Chavri people, the Persians, came Lebavel, and they're worse off than the Romans. Okay, so the Mishnah says, Echad Omer b'fanai nichtav, u'shnaim Omerim b'faneinu nichtav is kosher. So finally we have one case which is kosher. We have one on the ksiva and two on the chasima, you're good. As opposed to the previous case in the Mishnah, where it was the opposite. Two on the ksiva, one on the chasima, that doesn't work, and we explained this at length yesterday. Although we have the whole get covered, but if it's not said by the same person, then there's a concern of asi lechlufe became shtars the alma, which basically means that if we're allowing one person to vouch for the chasima yisavei get, people might deduce that that can be done on any ishtar which needs certification, and of course that's untrue. Only by a get do we give the shliach special privileges, because he's cast himself into the whole process, he's involved, he's administering it. It lends credibility to what he's doing. He wouldn't put his name on the line, he wouldn't put his reputation on the line. So, if he's going to go through the whole process, a complete b'fanei nichtav and b'fanei nechtam, we give him that ne'emanos. Otherwise, he's just like any other person. And since we see one person on the chasimos, people will think, well, one person can be mekayim chasimos, whether it's a get, whether it's a shtar milva, or shtar mecher, asi lachlufe bekim shtaros the alma beidachat. And therefore we say, even if we have two edim on the ksiva, but if it's just one on the chasima, even if he happens to be the shliach, who is typically believed and trusted, but since he's focusing only on the chasima, he's not saying it the way a person usually says, b'fanei nichtav and b'fanei nechtam. It appears like a regular shtar, which one person is being mekayim. That's problematic. But in this case, the other way around, one person is on the ksiva and two on the chasima. That's kosher. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Loishana. Why? Why do we say it's good? Loishana. This is only said Elosha get yoytzi metachas yad eid ksiva. Who's the shliach? Who's delivering the get? Whose hands are producing this get, so to speak? The eid ksiva, the one who's testifying about the ksiva. He's the shliach. And he is given full trust and full ne'emanos, like two edim. And now when you have, he's just missing the chasima. So you have two edim on the chasima, that's good. There's no room for confusion. What was the whole problem? You might confuse it with a regular shtar and be machsher. You might allow certification of an ordinary shtar with one eid. Well, here you have two edim on the chasima, no problem. No room for confusion or mistake. So you're good to go. It's as though you have the nasu. It's as though you have kishnai mazeh, two edim adi ksiva, the shliach who is believed like two, ukishnai mazeh, another two actual edim adi chasima. So we're speaking that there's only one shliach, the fellow speaking about the ksiva. He's the shliach, but he's believed like two. We have the ksiva fully covered, and the chasima, who's covering that? Well, two ordinary edim. So you're good to go. Aval metachas ide chasima. But if the get is being delivered by the two edim speaking about the chasima, and the fellow who's vouching about the ksiva is not a shliach, then it's possible. Because you have the chasima fully covered, but not the ksiva. You only have one person, and he's not a shliach, so he doesn't have the ne'emanos. But ultimately, what do we see from this version of Rabbi Yehuda? That even when you have two shluchim bringing the get, right, the eidi chasima are the shluchim, we have a problem because we don't have a complete b'fanei nichtav and b'fanei nechtam. Alma kasavar. Apparently, Rabbi Yehuda holds shnayim shiviu get medinas hayam. Even when two deliver a get, they need to say tzrichan sheyamru b'fanei nichtav b'fanei nechtam. Because although it's not a concern about kiyum ashtar, once we have two edim, like we spoke yesterday, but concerned about lishma, and therefore it's critical. Amalei Rabbi Asi. So Rabbi Asi responded to Rabbi Ami. Elami Atav, if that's the case, Let's go back to the previous case in the Mishnah. Reisha Diktani. What's the previous case? It's 2 on the ksiva, 1 on the chasima. It's possible, right? Shnayim oimrim b'fanei nichtav. 2 are speaking about the ksiva. Ve'echad oimer b'fanei nechtam. 1 is speaking about the chasima. It's possible. Rabbi Yehuda Machshir said it's okay. Now, according to you, Rabbi Yechanan, it's speaking even if it was delivered by 2 people. Afilu get yoytzim b'tachas yidei shneim pasli rabbanan. So you mean to say that even if the get is being brought by those 2 people, it's still possible because a proper, complete b'fanei nechtam was not said? Is that true? Amarla, he says, yeah, of course, right on, correct. So basically, according to the first lashon, whether the get is brought by 1 shliach or by 2, you still need the full b'fanei nechtam. Zimnin, on another opportunity, Ashkeche, Rabbi Asi encountered, he met Rabbi Ami, the Yosef Akamer was sitting and saying something different, totally different. That if a get is delivered by 2 people, you don't need b'fanei nechtam. So he was explaining the halacha in the Mishnah, halacha number 2, where it was 1 person on the ksiva, 2 people on the chasima, and said like this: Ta'afilu get yotzim metachas yidei edei chasima kosher. That even if the get is being delivered by the 2 edim who are speaking about the chasima, in which case we don't really have the ksiva properly covered, because there's only 1 person speaking about the ksiva, and he's not a shliach, so he really is not an eman. So all you have is ne'emanos on the chasima. It's still okay. What do you mean? What happened to the takanas chachamim? B'fanei nichtav. You don't need it. Alma kasaver, apparently because in the second version of Rabbi Ami, he was going with the other sheet. Alma kasaver shnayim sheviu get b'mdina siyama, get delivered by 2 people ain't srichen sheyayim b'fanei nichtav. B'fanei nichtav, there's no need to say it. Amalei Rabbi Asi, so Rabbi Asi responded, El miyata. Okay, if that's the case, let's go back to the previous case, where it's 2 people on the ksiva and 1 on the chasima. Reisha diktani. Shnayim oimrim b'fanei nichtav. Ve'echad oimrim b'fanei nechtam. It's possible. Rabbi Yehuda Machshir. Tanakama says it's possible. But you'll have to say, the reason why it's possible is because there are no 2 shluchim. Otherwise, there would be no need for b'fanei nichtav, right? Tama, the reason why it's possible, the ein get yotzim metachas yidei shneim, because we don't have these 2 people producing the get. They weren't the shluchim on the get. It was only 1 who delivered the get. Ha get yotzim metachas yidei shneim. Machshir rabbanim, but you mean to say that if both these individuals were the delivery men of the get, then there would be no need for b'fanei nechtam, b'fanei nechtam? Amar lei, he says, yeah, right there, incorrect. Because when 2 people deliver a get, b'fanei nechtam is unnecessary. So Rav Asi asked him further, he says, Vazimnan, but last time you didn't tell me it. You didn't tell it to me this way. Amrle, he says, no, the second time is correct. Yoseti shalei timut. Actually, the second version is right. Stick with that. Yoseti is like a spike in the ground, shalei timut, so that it doesn't budge. Just an expression, basically. The second version is the authoritative version. It's the real one. 2 shluchim don't need b'fanei nechtam. So let's just recap this Gemara. We're dealing with 2 separate cases. Case 1 involved 2 people on the ksiva, 1 on the chasima. It's possible. Now, according to the first lashon in the Gemara, which holds that even when 2 deliver a get, they need to say b'fanei nichtav. It's in accordance with the Rabbi's shita to address the lishma concern. According to that approach, the Mishnah is speaking even when they're both shluchim, 2 people are bringing the get, doesn't matter. Whereas according to the second lashon, which is working with the notion that 2 people deliver a get, there's no need to say b'fanei nechtam, like Rava, because we have Adam to certify the get. And the Mishnah says it's possible in this case. It's because we only have 1 shliach bringing the get, and therefore b'fanei nechtam is required, and it wasn't done properly. We have case number 2, just the opposite. 1 person on the ksiva, 2 on the chasima. We say it's kosher. According to the first lashon, that holds that if two shluchim bring a get, they need to say b'fanei nichtav. So apparently the reason why it's kosher is because we're speaking in a very unique case. That the one delivering the get is the one speaking about the ksiva. So we only have one shliach delivering the get, and not the Eidei Chasima. So since the individual who speaks about the ksiva is the one delivering the get, we give him full trust about the ksiva, so that's covered. Who covers the chasima? The two Eidim that speak about the chasima, so you're good. But according to the second lashon, you don't need that to be the case. Even if the two Eidim speaking about the chasima are the ones delivering the get. So you have the chasima fully covered, but the ksiva is wide open because you don't have reliability about the ksiva because it's only one person and he's not even a shliach. It doesn't matter because once we have two Eidim delivering the get, we don't need b'fanei nichtav properly. We don't need that declaration. And therefore it's kosher. Okay, continues the Mishnah. This Mishnah focuses on the subject of Zman. That a Zman has to be put onto the get. The get has to be with a date. It has to be dated. And therefore, the ksiva of the get, which contains the date, has to take place at the same time as the chasima saget, because the zman, the date recorded on that get, is in effect relaying to us the time frame for this get. When was it issued? When was it signed? What if there's any discrepancy between the two? Suppose the get is predated. That doesn't work. At least according to the Tanna Kama. Says the Mishnah, Nichtav Bayayim. Suppose the get with the date portion was written during daytime, and signed on that very day. It's certainly good. Balayla, even if the get was written at night, and signed at night, you're good. Balayla v'nechtam b'yayim was signed at night. It was written at night and signed the next day. So in halacha, the day follows the night. It's still good. And therefore it's kosher, because it was written and signed on the same day. But b'yayim, if it was written by day, so you have a date, Aleph, Iyar, v'nechtam b'layla, but it was only signed that coming night. So it's predated. Possible. Rabbi Shimon Machshir says it's okay. Shayir Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon would say, Kol GITTEN. All the documents, shenichtavu b'yayim, v'nechtavu b'layla psulim. All documents which are meant for collection. There you can't have it predated, because let's say we speak about a shtar chayiv. Reuven borrowed $1 million from Shimon, and there's a date on that shtar which precedes the actual event. That's not fair, because then the Baal Chayiv will use that shtar to collect assets which had been sold off before the actual loan took place, because he's going to base himself on the date of the shtar, which is incorrect, which is predated. It's unfair, it's puzzle. So all such documents which are predated are puzzle, except chutz megitei noshim, except for a get, which isn't meant for collection purposes. So who cares if the date is off? Now, why at all do we need a date? Itmar. Mipnei ma tiknu zman begitnu. Why is it that the Chachamim were misaken to include a date in a get? Rashi says, Kiven de lav shtara de gevainu. It's not meant for collection. It's not meant for financial schusim. So what's the point of the zman? Why is that important? We have two reasons. Rabbi Yehuda Amar Mishum Bas Achoyse. We're concerned about protecting an isha who committed znus. So, suppose the isha strayed, and it happens to be his Bas Achoyse, daughter of his sister. Which the Gemara Nivama says is a skula. It's a good thing to marry a relative. Take good care of her. So in this case, he's taking a little bit too much good care of her because she strayed, and she's liable to misa from Bezdin. And he's going to seek to protect her. How is he going to protect her? He'll give her a get, and he'll predate the get. Basically, the zman and the get will be predated, will precede her avera. and then she'll go and take that get and prove that she was already divorced. So her avera took place post-divorce when she was no longer a married woman. So you can sort of bypass the Beis Din. To avoid that, we institute Zman. Right? Again, because if it's predated or it's without a Zman, it's even worse, without a Zman, we'll never know when she in fact got divorced. And she'll claim it's been years. And therefore, we want it to be accurate, we want it to have a Zman. We know exactly when it happened. And we know that the Avera took place when she was still married, before the get was issued. That's Rabbi Yechon's approach. Mishum bas achos. Reish Lakish Amar, he gives a different reason. Mishum peres. We know that a husband has a right to eat, to consume produce growing on his wife's field. Okay? And that only lasts until divorce. So in order to ensure that this Isha has her rights, maintains her schusim, is able to take back any pears that the husband may have taken off the field post-divorce, when he no longer has access, should have access to those pears. In order to protect her rights, we make a zman in a get. So you know, well, any pears until Aleph Ear is his, but past that is hers. You have no right to take it, give it back. So that's the point of his zman. Because without his zman, you can always say, look, what do you mean? I took those bananas before we got divorced. You got divorced 2 weeks after we actually did. So the Zman prevents any confusion. So Rabbi Yehuda is going with Znus, Reish Lakish, Peres. Reish Lakish, my time like Rabbi Yehuda. Right? Why didn't Reish Lakish like Rabbi Yehuda's Pshat? Amalach, he says, Znus le'shchicha, we're not concerned about this unlikely event of schus. That can't be the reason for Zman and Neget. Rabbi Yehuda, my time like Reish Lakish, why didn't Rabbi Yehuda adopt Reish Lakish's reason? Zman is on account to Peres. You know why? Because he holds it's irrelevant. It doesn't impact the Peres. Because in any case, the husband has a right to eat the Peres until he actually gives the get. It's not connected to the time of writing, the time of signing. So in any case, the Isha will have to prove that, the get was handed over and delivered on a certain day in order to get back any Peres that he took past that day. So the actual document is not indicating anything in terms of his chusim of Peres. So you can't say that is the reason for Zman. For Rabbi Yehuda Amar, my time Lamakar Reish Lakish, why didn't Rabbi Yehuda go with the Peres reason? Because he holds Yesh Labal Peres. The husband can continue consuming the Peres of his wife's Nichse Malug Ad Shas Nasin until the get is actually delivered to the Isha. And that she'll have to prove regardless. You can sign a get today and hand it over in a week from now. So she'll have to prove that it was handed over. So Zman and the get has no relevance, no impact on that halach. So that's Rabbi Yechon's shita. He holds like the shita's Rabbanon is. The husband only loses his peres starting from the nesinas get, the delivery of the get. Okay, now we have another question. Because the Chachamim in the Mishnah require Zman. And a get muktam, a get with a predated date, is possible. Reb Shimon says, even a get mukdam, a get which features an early date, is still okay. What is the machlekes about? So now, according to Reish Lakish's approach, Zman is connected to Peres. Now, I can understand why Reb Shimon is not so concerned about the Zman. That's why Reb Shimon allows a get mukdam to be used. Why? Because Reb Shimon holds that, as soon as the husband set his eyes on being Megarish's wife, he loses his peres. And certainly, as soon as he sits down to write a get, even the ksivas a get terminates his schus. Therefore, says Reb Shimon, even if the zman is not consistent with the chasima, but it certainly reflects the ksiva of the get, the writing of the get, which is reason enough to take away his peres. So of course it's kosher. Whereas the Chachamim hold, no, you have a right to take the Paris until Chasima. And therefore you have to make sure the date on the get reflects the Chasima, otherwise you're jipping the Baal from his rightful rights, from his Paris. So again, Bishlam the Rish Lakish, that Zman is associated with Paris. That's why Reb Shimon is not concerned about an early date. Because Reb Shimon, as opposed to Rabbanan, hold that the Paris continue until Chasima, Reb Shimon holds it stops at Ksiva. Very good. So even if it's an early day, predated get, which means to say that the Chasima took place later, and the date on the get only reflects the Ksiva, that's okay. Because he's meant to lose his pairs at that point. So when we say predated, it means to say that the date reflects the Ksiva, even though the Chasima took place later. Elo Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rabbi Yehuda, who says the halacha of Zman is associated with the Znus concern, my time with the Reb Shimon the Machshir. So just as the Rabbanan are concerned and want accurately dated, Gittin, why is Reb Shimon concerned any less? Amalek Rabbi Yehuda responds, you're right. That's exactly the machlekes. The machlekes between Rabbanan and Reb Shimon is this exact question: why? Why do we have a zman in a get? Ali, but the Reb Shimon like come in. I wasn't discussing Reb Shimon. The reason I provided znus, that's the Rabbanan's reason for zman, and therefore they're very concerned, very particular about having things accurately done. According to Reb Shimon, you're right. It was based on Paris. He holds zman is because of the Paris, and since the husband loses that at the ksiva, you're good, you're great, because the date on the get reflects the ksiva, even though the chasima took place later. Kikamina leave the Rabbanan. When I gave the reason of znus, that was the Rabbanan's reason. So Rabbanan and Reb Shimon are arguing about this very point. Why do we have a zman in a get? According to Rabbanan, because of the znus issue. And therefore the mugdam is possible, because it's going to allow the isha to take advantage of the early day to protect herself, to pretend that she was already divorced before she was actually divorced. Reb Shimon, who says kosher, he holds, perhaps znus is not shchiach, he holds that the takana is based on peros, and therefore he says the zman and the get, which reflects the zman ksiva, is perfect, because that's when the husband loses the schus of peros. So now, Bishlam el Rabbi Yehuda, so we fully understand that according to Rabbi Yehuda, that itself is the machlekes. Hayno deika, bein Rabbi Shimon and Rabbanan. That's the nafkamina. The reason for the zman is it's nus, so it has to be accurate. Is it peros? It doesn't have to be accurate. El Rish Lakish ma'ika bein Rabbi Shimon and Rabbanan, but according to Rish Lakish, who holds that everybody's working with the peros reason, so how can we now explain why the Rabbanan are concerned about accuracy and Reb Shimon isn't? What's the nafkamina? The answer is Peri de mishas ksiva v'achas chasima ikebenayu. So he wrote the get. He signed it later. Signed it tomorrow. Signed it the next day. What happens to the pairs in between? Can he still take the pairs or not? That is the machlekes. Chachamim say he only stops using the pairs at the point of chasima, when the get is wrapped up. So it's unfair to write today and sign tomorrow, because he still has a right until tomorrow to access those pairs. And the get will indicate that the divorce took place today, which is untrue. And therefore we can't have this type of get. Whereas Reb Shimon holds, no, he loses it at the shas ksiva. So of course it makes sense that he should lose today, because the ksiva took place today. That's the machlekes. So bottom line is, according to Shitas Rabbanan, when does a husband stop peros? According to Reish Lakish, chasima. And according to Rabbi Yehuda, we explained this before, that Rabbi Yehuda held that the Zman cannot be related to Paris because, in any case, the Rabbanon hold that he gets Paris until the Nesina, and that has to be proven independent of the get, so that can't be the reason for the Zman and the get. So bottom line is, the husband loses his Paris, according to Rabbi Yehuda, Shas Nesina, according to Rish Lakish, Shas Chasima. Well, if Chashamin, but we found elsewhere that the Shitas are sort of reversed. The Itma we learned, Meimasai Maitin LeParis. Suppose, the husband took Paris, more than his share, and he sold, and he made money. Maitin means to go extract it, take it back from the buyers. From what point onward was this an illegal deal, which allows us to be mitzi to get those Paris back? At what point does his schus stop, basically? Rabbi Yehuda Mishas Ksiva, at the point of writing the get. Rish Lakish Mishas Nesina, at the point of handing over the get to the Isha. It's just the opposite, mamash the opposite of what we just said. Eifach, we have to switch it around. That Rish Lakish will hold the Shas Ksiva, which Taisa says means Chasima, which is consistent with our Gemara here, and Rish Lakish, and that's Rish Lakish, right? Shas Ksiva, which means the Chasima, like our Gemara here, and Rabbi Yehuda will say Mishas Nesina, which matches with Rabbi Yehuda and our Sukkah. So bottom line is like this. Why was there a Takanas Zman in a get? We have to have a Zman, we have Rabbi Yehuda's Pshat, Rish Lakish's Pshat. And we have Rabbanon, who say the Mugdam is possible. Rav Shimon says Mugdam is Kosher. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, it's because Rabbanon go with the Znus reason, and therefore we want to ensure accuracy. So we know exactly until what point each was married, and if she's deserving of Misa for these Znus. Whereas for Paris, that wouldn't be a reason, because he only loses the Paris at the point of Nesina, which is unconnected to the Shas Ksiva, to the dating and the get. And that has to be verified regardless of what's going on in the get. The Rab Shimon works with the Paris concern. And therefore he says, we don't care about a get Mugdam because he loses the Paris at the moment of Ksiva, which is perfectly reflected in the Zman of the Ksiva and the get. Good Rish Lakish, both Rabbanan and Rab Shimon work with Paris. It's just a question of when he stops his Paris. According to Rabbanan, the point of Chasima, so it's unfair to have a predated get because we're going to mistakenly take away Paris from him, which he deserves, which he's supposed to get until Chasima, whereas Rab Shimon says it's okay because he loses it at the Shas Ksiva regardless. Continues the Gemara. So we speak about the importance of having a Zman and a get. Amalei Abayla Rav Yosef, have a kasha. Listen to this Mishnah. Gimel Gittin Psulim. There are three variations of Gittin which are, Pasal Midrabbanon. Vim Nisas Avlat Kosher. Of course, if she used it and got married with it, it's okay. And one of the Gittin is the one that's missing a Zman. Well, if you can get away with writing a get without a Zman, so what's the point and purpose of the whole takana? If you're going to try to buck the system to protect from znus, etc., just leave out the Zman and nobody will ever know. And when it happened, what did the Chacham accomplish with that takana if you can just leave it out? You know what they accomplished? Ahanu? We don't let a person use such a get to remarry, etc. Basically what it means to say is that if he attempts to write such a get without a Zman, the Sefer won't write it. And the Eidim won't sign it. So it's going to be a pretty difficult mission to get himself a star without a Zman. Okay, but let's say they insist on writing his man, and he'll go chop it off, he'll cut it off. And nobody will ever know when the get was issued. Gazye lizman de day. Suppose he sliced off the zman of the get, gave it to the wife. Mai, what are you going to do in that case? Amar Leis, he responded, Rav Yosef responds, L'ramei l'chashina, we're not concerned about a dishonest person. Basically, you're advertising your dishonesty by chopping off a corner of the get. People have too much pride and self-respect to do that in public. So we're not concerned about that eventuality. Says the more, but still, I have another question. Kosa boy shavua. We know we have to have a zman, right? But I have a question. How accurate, how specific does a zman have to be? Suppose it just says, it was written within this Shemitah cycle, within this 7-year cycle. Kosa boy shavua, or a shana, a certain year, chodesh, a certain month, without detailing the day, or Shabbos, a certain week, Mai. What is halacha there? Amalei says it works, kosher, it's okay. Even though it's not so specific. Well, then again, Umahu Ilu, Chacham b'takanosim. If so, what did the Chacham accomplish with their takana of zman? If you can just present a vague, general description of the time frame without specifying, you still gain something, because to a certain degree it is specific. Ahanu, you've accomplished. L'shavod kamei. The get wasn't issued, the last Shemitah cycle. L'shavod basrei, the coming Shemitah cycle. Basically, you've pinpointed it, you've pinned it down to this 7-year system. So you got some degree of detail. Because if you're not going to agree with me that even that degree of particularity is enough, what about every get that's properly written? Yoim gufe. So the get says Yom Gimel b'Shabbos, right? Does anybody know if it's the morning or the night? You don't record the actual hour. So, something can still go wrong. No, that it's not so detailed and specific. So apparently we say, okay, it's specific enough. You've gained that, it wasn't given on a Monday. So if she committed znus on Monday, then, she's guilty. You know that it wasn't given on Wednesday. And if he took Paris on Wednesday, he has to give it back. So you gained something, even though it's not 100%. Hachanam here as well. When you were so vague and general in terms of a 7-year cycle, you've still gained something. Ahana, you've accomplished the Shavua the Kameh. It wasn't given last Shemitah, the Shavua the Basrei, or the coming Shemitah. And that's enough of a fulfillment of the Takanos Hachamim of Zman. Okay, so for a brief Chazar, we had a discussion regarding 2 Shluchim bringing a get. A difference of opinion regarding whether or not they have to say b'fan nechtam. We discussed the fact that Hashem sought to send Klal Yisrael with the Torah to a place where they can succeed and flourish. And we concluded with the halacha of Zman by Gittin, Rabbi Yechanan, Misham Znus, Rish Lakish, Misham Peres. We explained the Reb Shimon and the Rabbanos Machlekes, and the degree of detail required in a Zman. All the best to you. Hatzlacha Rabba and Psurais Teves.